Hello everyone. Let us discuss Aphorism 73. Here Hahnemann has given extensive explanation for acute disease. Please go through Aphorism 2 where we have given how acute and chronic diseases are defined. Now we will see the classification of acute diseases. In acute diseases you have individual acute disease, sporadic acute disease and epidemic acute disease. So we will start with extensive explanation for individual acute disease. Individual acute diseases are those diseases where there is a transient explosion of latent sora when the person is exposed to the exciting cause. So when a person gets exposed to exciting cause, there is a transient explosion of latent sora and it has got a capacity to spontaneously return back to its dormant state. Okay. If acute disease is not violent in its character, then it will spontaneously come back to its latent stage and soon it will be extinguished. What are exciting causes? So we get exposed to many things every day, but if they keep an injurious influence on us, that becomes exciting for that particular acute disease. Again, we have two types of acute individual diseases. One is acute febrile disease and acute febrile disease. Now let's discuss exciting causes for acute febrile diseases. They are excess of food, insufficient food and severe physical impression. And we know very well that they can be taken into indisposition because whatever is lacking you will just have to supply. But when this excess of food has become too much and that has pushed you into disease, which you found that is not getting all right by taking less food or by being hungry or by giving rest to your stomach, then automatically whatever complaints you are suffering from, either it is vomiting or diarrhea, anything, that becomes acute disease. Insufficient food, lack of food is there and then you start suffering from some complaints, and if there's complaints are all right by giving food, then that is indisposition. But in case you have supplied the food and still the person starts suffering, that shows that latent sora has been exploited. Severe physical impressions, if the person is being beaten up or is a sportsman and is working too hard or is a labor and he has got a lot of work so that his all muscles got injured and tired and all, if they take rest and everything is okay, then that shows it's indisposition. But even after that, if the patient starts suffering, then they need a medical aid. What are exciting causes of acute febrile disease? We all know that there can be chills, overheating, rains, physical irritation and mental emotions. Here, chills and overheating, we know that whenever there is a change in the weather, definitely a patient comes to you with a fever, and you know it very well that this is because of change in the weather and you treat them accordingly. And what about rains? Okay, again, when your patient has got severe, he is a labor or they have worked too much or he was a sportsman, as we said in acute febrile disease, there is no fever and here there is a fever along with other complaints. Next is physical irritation. For example, you have a patient who has gone for walking and he got a thorn prick there and he has neglected it. And what happened? The thorn remained there only, not removed it. Body starts reacting to it by giving pain, fever, tumor and rubor. You know, those are symptoms of acute inflammation. Definitely it needs a medical aid. Then comes mental emotions. Nowadays we see there are so many children, they have been overcared, hence they cannot take anybody's anger or anybody's rejection that easily. They start suffering from fever. For example, children scolded by mother for studies or for anything for that matter, whereas they were not at all being scolded nowadays, and they take it too seriously. So this is an emotional cause where it has given fever. Now let's come to sporadic acute diseases. Those diseases where several persons are suffering at the same time here and there. Not whole area is suffering. A few people are suffering. This shows that only few people has got morbid susceptibility. Causes can be meteoric influence or telluric. What is a meteoric influence? Influence due to flashing of light from some kind of metal is a meteoric influence. Telluric influences, these are the changes pertaining to the earth. It could be earthquake, it could be seasons, or it could be change in the weather. These things can give rise to several persons suffering at a time here and there. Now let's come to a very important topic where we have got a very good hope is epidemic diseases. Many people are suffering with similar symptoms with the same cause. It's called as or acute epidemic or epidemic. When they arise in thickly populated area, they become contagious. Like this arise some fevers which possess peculiar nature every time. They come every year probably, but they are not same as it was long back or last year, something like that. So master says homeopath shouldn't give them the name like gold fever, bilious fever, typhus fever, mucus fever and nervous. Okay, but they have to be treated on their own peculiarity. These fevers will have got identical variation, identical morbid process, and if they are left for some moderate time, they terminate either into recovery or into death. Okay, exciting causes are calamities of war, extreme starvation due to famine, or they may suffer due to flood or by the acute miasm. Acute miasms are of two types. Okay, one is recurrent acute miasm and non-recurrent. Recurrent acute miasm which occur frequently, pretty much in the same manner. Okay, example: plague of Levant, yellow fever of sea coast, Asiatic cholera. I want to tell one more thing that nowadays we don't find all these diseases. This is what is master wrote during his time what was happening and how the diseases were occurring and what were the diseases which were where he is calling as acute recurrent miasm. Okay, so non-recurrent acute miasm occur pretty much in the same manner only, but only once in lifetime of the person. Example: smallpox, measles, whooping cough, scarlet fever, and mumps. In 1801, kind of purpura miliaris had occurred, and for that Hahnemann prescribed aconite, and for scarlet fever he prescribed belladonna as a prophylaxis. And definitely there was a very good result. Let's summarize this. In this aphorism, we saw that acute diseases are of three types: individual acute disease, sporadic acute disease, and epidemic acute. Right? And then we have given a extensive explanation for that. And acute miasms are of two types. One is recurrent acute miasm and non-recurrent. This acute disease or this whole explanation is very important because this question is definitely asked in the exam. Also, it's very important from the practical point of view that you will have to classify the disease before you treat. Thank you.